Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Chats with Chaudhry. It's a glorious day here in the UK, and I'm delighted to be joined by Andreas Mattern, who is VP for Strategy and Global Product Management Pharma at Syntegon Technology, to have a catch up and actually take part in my Reflections of Forecast 21-22 series, where I'm sitting down with senior executives across life science and pharma to look back at the last 12 months and look ahead to what this year may bring. And Andreas was a guest from last year as well, so I can see actually things have changed from what he said last year. So Andreas, first of all, it's lovely to see you. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, thank you. Very good. Here, the weather in Germany is not so nice. It's a bit cloudy, but no rain, so that's fine.
Well, the no rain is a good thing, though, at least. I
Yeah.
mean, it's very sunny outside, but it is still always very cold when you go out. But anyway, it's lovely to see you. As I said to viewers, you and I caught up a year ago, so it'll be quite interesting to see how things have changed. Now, the first thing I'd like to ask, though, for those people not familiar with Syntegon, is if you don't mind giving a very quick overview of who Syntegon are and what you do.
Okay, so Syntegon was known as the former Bosch packaging technology. We are one of the largest, maybe the largest provider of solutions for processing and packaging for the pharmaceutical industry, both for injectables as well as oral solid dosage. So everything from API processing up to inspection, you name it, we have it.
Brilliant. Okay, now last year when you and I caught up, I was listening to our interview only this morning to see what you said, and I asked you this question last year, and I said, "Well, describe the year in 2021 word and why." And you at that time described it as crazy. So how would you describe 2021?
Well, I need two words because it's year two of the pandemic. It's still crazy, Yeah, no, I mean, just watch Netflix Death to 2021 and, sequel
Right.
to Death to 2020. So it's, maybe it's a bit different kind of crazy than last year and maybe a little bit less at the one or the other point. But overall, still, yeah, a lot of topics.
Right. Because I know, obviously, when we spoke last year, I mean, you mentioned to me that obviously as a business, you had to pivot very quickly,
Yeah.
adopt digital technology and transformation internally as a business and also with your customers. But you had actually been, because you had factories in in China, you were able to sort of predict some of things that were going to happen and prepare.
Yeah.
Obviously, as you said, it's year two of the pandemic last year. So how much more did you as a business have to change, and how else has the pandemic impacted you into year two?
I I think the overall we became more agile, more lean, more digital. Of course, we had to move out of our comfort zone in certain areas, but overall, I think the business is stable. I mean, the problems are a bit different. In the beginning of the pandemic, you had very acute supply chain issues.
Sure.
Now they're more systemic. It combines with the chip shortage. So can you get your controls in time and so on? So it's kind of a bit of a different problem set maybe than last year, but overall it goes in the same direction. But yeah, we're managing fine, and I think it really helped our transformation as a company. After the big Bosch into a bit more leaner setup, and this really accelerated things we were doing anyway.
Now, are there things, though, looking back over the last 12 months now, that you can see now are here to stay? Because obviously, because whatever the new normal is going to be going forward, and when we come out of the pandemic, what things do you think you've adapted during the pandemic are likely to now be part of your day-to-day business, and how you deal with both customers and internally with your own staff?
Yeah, I think a lot of the things there will be a balance. I mean, of course, it went all digital, no travel at all, but I think it'll go back to pendulum to some middle position that both internally and externally you will all really question: do I have to travel? Do I have to board this plane? Can I save the CO2, or is a digital meeting okay? These sort of things. But on the other hand, you also realize that sometimes really no online meeting can substitute really looking somebody in the eye, shaking hands, having a beer in the evening. So we will have a best of both worlds, let's call it. Have personal meetings and so on, where it really is essential and makes sense. But on the other hand, also do a lot more online in all sorts, both internally and as well as externally.
And what about your customers' expectations? Have they changed now into last year as opposed to year one? in 2020 to 2021? Did they change at all in terms of what they expected from you as a business and how you managed them?
No, I think it's, as I said, I mean, we still have remote FATs and do a lot more remotely. But on the other hand, since traveling is possible, at least in many areas, we have again more personal visits. So it's maybe less than it was 2 or 3 years ago, but it's not zero. So it didn't go completely digital. So we have kind of an intermediate stage at the moment.
Right. Okay. And I know as a business, you've been very busy in 2021 with lots of things happening. I mean, you've launched lots of new products as well. So what are some of the key achievements that which you look back on last year that you're very proud of from the pharma division at Syntegon?
Okay, I would say as a company in total, I'm really positively surprised how smooth the overall Syntegon brand launch went now. You know, we're now in 2 years into the new brand, and it's really getting accepted, you know, and we get a lot of really also good feedback from the customers. You know, they know us now, and but they also see that we are no longer the big boss, so we are more agile, and we get a good feedback there. So very proud of that as an overall company achievement. And how we managed to go through the pandemic with all the problems, travel restrictions, supply chain, and so on. So I think overall the company performance, and in some sites especially, really awesome, unbelievable what some of the colleagues have managed to do and get out of the door in customer orders, especially with regards to COVID-related equipment to help fight the global pandemic. Of course, I'm also product manager, so I have to look at, you know, a bit more on the technology side. We had really a couple of good success stories. You know, we had the award for the Versinta Microbatch, the PDA Innovation Award, together with FETA for our gloveless robotic filling cell, which is a huge development. Really good, very good customer feedback in the initial presentations. High interest. We had another award for the paper blister on the sustainability front to replace PVC blisters with paper blisters, which is getting a huge interest. Very nice development. And also the customer cooperations are really good. I'm pretty sure you saw the announcements that we have a cooperation now with Bayer and with Shanghai Pharmaceuticals, both on our continuous processing. So really big names helping, having accepted the technology and really interested in getting it developed further. So we have really good development partnerships there. So
brilliant. Now, obviously, as your role overseeing pharma and looking at the product management, I mean, what developments, stories, or trends really stood out for you across pharma last year in terms of sort of, you know, developments that you saw?
Well, of course, the obvious is that, you know, mRNA is trying to compete against gene and cell therapies as the king of the hot topic. I guess some analysts' keyboards are worn out now from typing mRNA. But yeah, so this has really picked up, of course, as expected, because of the breakthrough of the mRNA vaccines, and that has really given a huge boost to the technology. Otherwise, I think a lot was not so many changes. Actually, if you look at the fundamentals of the pipeline and so on, actually, if you look at the total drug pipeline, you know, I always do a percentage of which therapy areas are going and so on. So of course, infectious diseases went up in the total share of new drugs by 2%, but oncology went up 6%. So in spite of the pandemic, in the last 3 years, oncology research increased by 6%. So it's still the hottest topic. So overall, not so many totally fundamental changes. The industry is just too big for that. And for me, it ended with kind of a bang in December when Pfizer announced the acquisition of Arena, because that is kind of now a big pharma blessing for medical marijuana, which was not there, even if the press release is very short on this aspect of the deal. But everybody that knows the company knows that Arena is very prominent in the medical cannabis field. And with Pfizer behind that, this will maybe create more drive in that segment.
Right. Well, that's really interesting. So let's look ahead to 2022.
Okay.
So let's talk about big predictions first for that whole sector before we start specifically about technology. So if you look at pharma and biopharma, I remember when we spoke last year, you were saying whether the spend would continue or whether it would level off or even drop to a degree once we'd had this surge around the vaccines. So
Yeah.
what's your predictions then? I mean, you just said you were looking at reports of different modalities. And what are your predictions for pharma and biopharma for 2022?
Well, of course, COVID will stay a topic, but it'll shift. It was very much in the beginning. It was just is any vaccine working? How can we get those vaccines? And we will in 2022. If you look at the UNICEF dashboard, you can see that of the currently approved vaccines, we have a global production capacity forecast of 26 billion doses this year. And that is really enough that basic vaccination should not be a topic for anybody on this planet, thankfully. So everybody who can get vaccinated will be able to get vaccinated. On the other hand, this will change the picture, because now we will suddenly have more doses than we probably need. So the competition will shift to which type of vaccine gets the acceptance. We will have combined technologies, maybe with a combined flu shot with your booster variant update, and we will certainly see a shift to prefilled syringe formulations, like the flu shot, which comes in a prefilled syringe. So there will be COVID will still be a topic this year, but the content of the discussion will shift a bit. Yeah. Otherwise, as I said, the pipeline the main topics will stay. It will return a bit more to the topic of small batch, no longer the big blockbuster drugs, high containment requirements, flexible production. So these trends will remain, or maybe in a sense come back a bit. And we see that some of the projects which were on hold last year, when people were in the beginning of the pandemic squeezing how is it going, manage the cash flow, they're all coming back. So we can see a big uptick in investments and projects which were on hold that got reactivated or getting reactivated.
Fantastic. And now the two things that which have come up a lot with people when I've interviewed them over the last 12 months are the issue of speed to market and supply chain. Now, you mentioned supply chain a bit earlier in our conversation when you said, it was very acute at the start of the pandemic and it's becoming more endemic. So how have you as a business sort of managed, and what are your thoughts in terms of the future, how supply chain is going to behave going forward, particularly when you talked about chips, for example, from Taiwan and so on, and impacting pharma?
Well, we've managed very well as a company. We don't have major delays, because of course we always have a relatively long lead time for the equipment anyway, so we know what is needed and we can replace orders early. But we had to run for it. We had a dedicated team hunting for parts worldwide, maybe available in another country, get it over. We had escalation at the highest management levels, calling other CEOs saying, look, we need these parts. They're critical to fight COVID. You want to have a vaccine line or not? Okay, we give you the parts. So it was as I said, a big shout out to the company and the people here for the performance, and it worked so far. So this will go on. We also had framework contracts with many suppliers in place to fall back on. So I think it's a topic, but it's not, it's not like, oh God, we can't send machines out or whatever. We have to deal with it in the daily business, but it shifts the focus a bit, I would say.
Right. And what about the issue about speed to market? Have you found that customers are more demanding, wanting things turned around? I mean, obviously, initially it was because of the vaccines and they needed to get things done quickly, but has that mindset changed where the expectations, as I said, have changed dramatically to where it's saying we were happy to wait maybe 12 months or 18 months or 2 years, but now we want it in 6 months or whatever? I mean, has that changed?
Yeah, of course, they always want it faster. I have not personally come across a case where somebody said, well, you got us the vaccine line so fast, immediately give us the other line at the same speed. But overall, I think we have an acceleration in the business, and I'm sure it'll come. So we have to be quick on our feet, and we have to be fast. Yeah.
Right. And now,
no doubt about it. And one interesting aspect, because we're in the forecast for this year, and there I'm really not clear where it's going. There was a big trend to single-use technology, especially in the biotech and the API side. And
Sure.
this was a great enabler in the beginning of the pandemic to develop fast. You know, a lot of the initial vaccine candidates were developed in single-use technologies, but when it came to production and scale-up, suddenly we had a huge backlog and supply crisis in single-use bioreactors. You know, it was even in the normal daily press that people are hunting the plastic bags. And there were reports of 12-month delivery time for a single-use bioreactor. And in the same pandemic, we managed to sell process equipment in stainless steel for vaccine production within 6 months. So suddenly you're in a strange world where steel is faster than polymers. And I wonder really how this will develop, if people say no, we go all in still on the single use side, or if some people rethink this approach and say no, maybe traditional approach also has its benefits, especially when it comes to ramp up production. So talk to me next year about it. How?
Well, that's a very interesting point, and I might ask the BPSA actually, who I've got connections with, to get their view on that. Actually, that's quite an interesting point. So, what developments do you see, or expect to see, and trends do you expect to see around pharma manufacturing and packaging, which is obviously subjects closer to your own heart in terms of specifically around those areas?
I would say it's back to 2019. So as I said, the existing trends about smaller, flexible production equipment, high containment, because a lot of the oncology medicines are high potent, so you need containment. All this will come back. It was overshadowed a bit in our order book during the pandemic because suddenly it was again all high-speed lines, production. But as I said, the projects are getting reactivated, and we see a lot of interest more again in our more modern, flexible equipment, both in solid as well as in liquid. So I would say 2022 will be a lot back to 2019.
Right. Okay. Back to the future, or future to the back, maybe.
Yeah.
So one thing though, which struck me when you're talking about that though, is the other two things which have come out a lot when you talk about pharma manufacturing and the future in pharma and healthcare has been AI and machine learning. So how do you see that being incorporated more and more within sort of manufacturing of drugs going forward?
Well, so far we see it really mostly on the inspection side of things, because the algorithms for image analysis are really the most advanced. But there are of course other topics. If you look at the conferences and what is discussed, you know, where we're talking about language processing, you know, machine operation by word, not by finger, and so on. Line readiness checks with image analysis and so on. So it will be there, of course, but there will always be a validation topic, because the neural nets, you know, they can't explain how they get to the result. So you will always have to have a kind of freeze validate against standard procedures. And I don't think we will see continuous self-learning equipment for a long time to come. You will always have kind of a frozen state which you need to validate, and so that your machine doesn't run amok, that you're always in a you know, controlled, validated state. But we will definitely see more applications for self-learning within the existing space in certain applications.
Brilliant. Right. And Andreas, what can we expect from Syntegon in 2022? Because I know every time I've spoken to you, you've got a lot going on in the business. I mean, you talked about how much you had going on in 2020. I know you had a lot going on in 2021. So what can we expect in 2022?
Oh, 2022 is it's the Achema year, even though Achema is, you know,
has been moved. Yeah, moved to August, hasn't it?
So the Super Bowl Sunday suddenly shifted to a Super Bowl Tuesday on a working day in the morning, 9 o'clock. But anyway, so yes, we're looking very much forward to the Achema, and yes, we will be there. We will be going. We will have a booth, and we will show innovations. So please take a break from your holidays if you have plans, and come and visit us. And we have a few things we've shown in the US end of last year, which we will show in Europe for the first time. So we'll probably have the micro batch. We have the new GKF60 lab capsule filler. We have a new development for banding of capsules, which you need for liquid-filled capsules. And if you remember the earlier discussion about arena and medical cannabis, where you often have the corresponding oils in a capsule, this could be one of the major applications behind that. We'll have the Sepion coater. We have our new freeze dryer loading system, a very, very nice system, small, compact to put in an isolator, very, very high GMP compliance. So a lot is coming. It'll be interesting. I don't know if we fit everything in the Achema, but we will show you a lot this year, and there will be a lot of launches from us.
Excellent. I look forward to it. Well, I suppose actually just one thing that brings up in my head then is that as an organization like yourselves, who obviously do have a lot of product lines that you want to demonstrate physically, a show like Achema, obviously, which only theoretically happens every 3 years, it is often the focal point for a lot of the launches. So how much of an impact is it when a show like Achema, which was planned obviously last year, then it moved to this year, and now it's moved again into August through no fault of their own, so there's not a criticism of the organizers, it's just a reality of life. But how much of an impact does that have on you as a business in terms of launching and showcasing new products?
Yeah, of course, it has a huge impact, and you have to scramble. I mean, we won't delay a launch of a product that's ready for a show just to wait till the next year. I mean, we might delay a month or two, but we will not delay for a year. And we had that case. We had for our flexible filling platform, the Versinter FFP, which was originally scheduled to have a really big show launch. You know, we went to a completely online format, a very successful webcast, also with live presentations, guest speakers, and so on. So it is possible. You have to be, again, the pandemic taught us flexibility. So you have to be flexible. You have to adapt. You might do more online. You might do more in-house. Whatever is required. The only thing which really didn't work out so well is those big online trade shows, replacements, conferences. That is, we found the feedback and the experience not so valuable. So if you go online, do it dedicated or do something in-house, I think is the learning here.
Brilliant, Andreas. Well, look, I've got one last question for you, and that is to leave. What final thought would you like to leave viewers for 2022? So what words of wisdom would you like to leave them to look ahead?
Stay healthy, everybody. Please stay healthy. And if you haven't gotten a vaccine yet, please get a vaccine. Everybody should really have the ability. This year, productions are ramping up, and there will be different technologies out there. If you're skeptic about the technology for some reason, there are different kind of vaccine platforms. So please get vaccinated and stay healthy, that we don't have to have another pandemic year.
Well said, Andreas. Thank you very much. And where can people get more information about Syntegon if they'd like to know more about what you're doing this year?
Well, of course, in your show, you have a lot of good contributions on LinkedIn. We have a website. We post regularly on LinkedIn our new topics. So please follow us and see what we have to offer. And of course, you can always contact us through the website or whatever.
Brilliant, Andreas. Well, look, it's lovely seeing you once again. I look forward to hopefully catch up with you in person. Hopefully, if even earlier, possibly.
I will give you a personal tour and show you everything in detail. And really,
I look forward
to at least bumping fists, if not shaking hands.
I look forward to, and also getting some tips on what music I should listen to, Andreas. I look forward to that as well. So look, there you go, viewers. I hope you found that interesting. There's lots of great information there and lots of different thoughts from Andreas. So if you agree or disagree with Andreas, feel free to put your comments below the video.
Please come back. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this. If I'm completely off track or whatever, always open to have discussions here.
Brilliant. And so if you have got any comments for Andreas, please put them below the video. You can message Andreas directly. He's on LinkedIn, and Syntegon are very, very active on LinkedIn, actually. So I would follow the LinkedIn page they've got, because he's got lots of great information, lots of great webinars as well, and events. And also you can go to the Syntegon website, which the link will be above the video. So all those things. Andreas, have a fantastic 22, my friend. It's lovely to see you again. And hopefully you look a bit more like a rocker next time I see you with your hair a bit longer, maybe. So it's lovely to see you. Have a fantastic year. And viewers, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. And until next time, as always, stay well and stay well.
Bye. Thank you.